Talk Ava. Learn English with confidence.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about two English words that many learners think mean the same thing, empty and vacant. Both describe something that isn't being used or occupied, but native speakers don't always use them in the same situations.
That's true. I often hear learners say things like, the glass is vacant, or the hotel room is empty. Native speakers usually choose different words because each one sounds more natural in certain situations.
That's exactly what we'll explore today. We won't focus on dictionary definitions. Instead, we'll learn through real-life conversations that sound like everyday English.
By the end of today's conversation, you'll know when empty sounds natural and when vacant is the better choice.
Let's begin with empty.
Imagine you're having breakfast.
You finish your orange juice.
Your friend looks at your glass and says, "Your glass is empty."
That's a sentence you'll hear every day.
There's nothing inside the glass.
That's why empty sounds natural.
Now let's change the situation.
Imagine you're looking for a hotel room.
You ask the receptionist, "Do you have any vacant rooms tonight?"
That's different.
Here, vacant means the room is available because nobody is staying in it.
That's the biggest difference. Empty often describes something that contains nothing.
Vacant usually describes a place or position that isn't occupied.
Let's compare them. The bottle is empty.
The apartment is vacant.
Same idea of not being occupied.
Different kinds of things.
Here's another everyday example.
Imagine you're driving home after work.
You find an empty parking space.
That's a very natural expression.
Nobody's car is there.
Now imagine you're reading a sign outside an office building.
It says, office space available.
Someone might say, "That office has been vacant for months."
That's another common sentence.
Here's another situation.
You're at the supermarket.
You pick up a carton of milk.
You pick it up.
It feels light.
You open it and realize it's empty.
That's exactly how native speakers speak.
Later, you're looking for a place to sit.
Your friend points across the room and says, "That table is vacant."
Nobody is sitting there. Here's something learners often do.
Go ahead.
They say, my coffee cup is vacant,
Native speakers would normally say, "My coffee cup is empty."
because the cup contains nothing.
If you're talking about a hotel room, a seat, or a job position, vacant usually sounds more natural.
Let's imagine another conversation.
You're at the cinema.
The movie is about to begin.
You ask the employee, "Are there any vacant seats near the middle?"
The employee replies, yes, there are a few.
That's another conversation you'll hear naturally.
Here's another example.
You're cleaning the kitchen.
You pick up a cereal box.
You say, "This box is empty. We need to buy more."
A few minutes later, your brother is looking for a place to study.
You say, "The guest room is vacant. You can work there."
Same house.
Two different words.
Once you begin connecting empty with containers or things that have nothing inside,
And vacant with places, rooms, seats, or positions that aren't occupied.
choosing the right word becomes much easier.
Before we continue, we have a question for everyone listening today. Question for you. Which sentence sounds more natural to you? The bottle is empty or the hotel room is vacant? Can you write your own sentence using either empty or vacant in the comments? We'd love to read your examples.
Your examples always help other learners because everyone thinks of different real-life situations, and that's one of the best ways to practice natural English.
If today's conversation is helping you understand everyday English more clearly, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with another English learner. Thanks for joining us today.
Let's look at a few everyday situations where native speakers naturally choose between empty and vacant. Once you hear enough examples, you'll begin noticing that these words are used in very different situations.
That's true, because native speakers usually ask themselves one simple question. Are they talking about something that has nothing inside it, or are they talking about a place that nobody is using?
Imagine you're making breakfast.
You open the refrigerator to get some milk.
You pick up the carton.
It feels light.
You look inside and say, the milk carton is empty.
That's a very natural sentence.
The carton contains nothing. That's why empty is the correct word.
Here's another situation.
You're arriving at a hotel after a long drive.
You walk up to the front desk.
You ask, do you have any vacant rooms tonight?
The receptionist smiles and says, "Yes, we have 2 available."
That's another conversation you'll hear very often.
The rooms aren't occupied. They're available for guests.
Here's another example.
You're riding a crowded bus.
Most of the seats are taken.
Suddenly, someone gets off at the next stop.
Your friend says, "There's a vacant seat over there."
That's exactly how native speakers speak.
Nobody is sitting there.
The seat is available.
Here's something learners sometimes ask.
What's that?
They wonder if they can say, "The classroom is empty."
Yes, you certainly can.
That's very common.
If nobody is inside the classroom, empty sounds completely natural.
So when do we use vacant?
Usually when we're emphasizing that the place is available for someone to use.
For example, a hotel room,
An office.
a parking space.
Or a job position.
Let's imagine another conversation.
You're looking for parking outside a shopping mall.
Your friend looks around.
Then they say, "I think there's a vacant parking space near the entrance."
You drive over and park the car.
That's another sentence you'll hear naturally.
Here's another everyday situation.
You're cleaning your bedroom.
You open your closet.
One shelf has nothing on it.
You say, "This shelf is completely empty."
That's a natural description.
A little later, your sister asks where she can study.
You reply, "The study room is vacant right now."
That's another common conversation.
One word describes the shelf.
The other describes the room.
Here's another example.
You're walking through an office building.
Several employees are working.
One office has the lights off and nobody inside.
Your coworker says, "That office has been vacant since last month."
That's another natural use of vacant.
Here's something useful to remember.
I think this one helps a lot.
If you're talking about a bottle, a cup, a bag, a box, a plate, or a refrigerator, think empty.
If you're talking about a room, a seat, a parking space, an office, or a job position, think vacant.
That simple habit makes choosing the correct word much easier.
Here's one final situation.
2 friends are looking for a table at a busy restaurant.
One friend says, "Everything looks full."
The other points across the room and says, "That table is vacant."
After they sit down, the waiter brings a bottle of water.
A little later, one friend finishes drinking and says, "My glass is already empty."
That's another perfect example of how native speakers naturally use vacant and empty in the same conversation.
Once you begin thinking about nothing inside versus not being occupied, choosing between empty and vacant becomes much easier.
And after enough listening practice, you'll naturally know which word fits the situation.
There's another reason empty and vacant can be confusing. Sometimes both words could describe the same place, but native speakers choose one because they're thinking about a different idea.
That's a good point. The meaning can be similar, but the focus changes. Once you notice that, choosing the correct word becomes much easier.
Imagine you're walking through an office building after business hours.
Almost everyone has gone home.
You look down the hallway.
A coworker says, "Most of the offices are empty now."
That's a very natural sentence.
Nobody is inside at the moment. Now imagine one particular office.
The company hasn't rented it yet.
Your coworker says, "That office has been vacant for 6 months."
That's different.
Empty describes the current situation.
Vacant tells us the office isn't occupied and is available.
Here's another situation.
You're looking for an apartment.
You call a property manager.
They say, "We have one vacant apartment on the 3rd floor."
That's exactly how native speakers speak.
The apartment is available to rent.
After moving in, you begin unpacking.
You open one of the kitchen cabinets.
You laugh and say, "Every cabinet is empty."
That's another natural conversation.
The cabinets contain nothing.
Here's something learners sometimes notice.
Go ahead. They hear people say, "The stadium is empty."
That's very common.
It simply means there are no people inside.
But if someone says there are still vacant seats, they're talking about seats that are available for people to use.
That's an important difference.
Let's imagine another conversation.
You're attending a conference.
You arrive a little late.
You quietly ask an employee, "Are there any vacant seats near the front?"
The employee points toward the second row.
After the conference finishes, everyone leaves.
A few minutes later, someone says, "The hall is completely empty now."
That's another realistic example.
Here's another everyday situation.
You're shopping for groceries.
You reach for a cereal box.
Someone has accidentally placed an empty display box back on the shelf.
You pick it up and say, "This box is empty."
Later, you drive to another store.
You find a vacant parking space right beside the entrance.
That's another natural use of both words.
Here's another example.
You're helping a friend move into a new house.
Before the furniture arrives, every room is empty.
After the moving truck leaves, one bedroom still isn't being used.
Your friend says, "We'll keep that room vacant until my parents come to visit."
That's exactly how native speakers would describe it.
Here's something useful to remember.
I think this helps a lot.
Empty often answers the question, "What's inside?"
Nothing.
The bottle is empty.
The drawer is empty.
The refrigerator is empty.
Vacant answers a different question.
Is anyone using it?
The room is vacant.
The seat is vacant.
The office is vacant.
Those patterns sound completely natural.
Here's one final conversation.
Two friends are meeting at a busy cafe.
One friend walks in first and looks around.
They send a message saying, "There's one vacant table near the window."
After both friends finish their drinks, one smiles and says, "Our cups are empty already."
That's another perfect example of how native speakers naturally choose vacant for available places and empty for things that contain nothing.
Once you begin thinking about nothing inside versus available because nobody is using it, choosing between empty and vacant becomes much easier.
And after enough real conversations, you'll stop translating these words and start using them the way native speakers do.
Let's spend some time on the expressions and situations where native speakers naturally use empty and vacant. These are the kinds of conversations you'll hear at home, at work, while traveling, and during everyday life.
I like this part because you'll notice that native speakers don't think about grammar. They simply think about whether something contains nothing or whether a place is available because nobody is using it.
Imagine you're getting ready to cook dinner.
You open the pantry to get some pasta.
You reach for the container.
Then you realize it's empty.
That's a very natural sentence.
There's nothing left inside.
A few minutes later, you remember you need to buy more.
That's the kind of conversation families have all the time.
Here's another situation.
You're checking into a hotel after a long flight.
The receptionist looks at the computer.
They say, "We still have a few vacant rooms."
That's another natural sentence.
Those rooms are available for guests.
Here's another everyday example.
You're at the office during lunch.
Most people have gone out to eat.
You walk into the break room.
Someone says, "The room is almost empty."
That's because very few people are inside.
A coworker asks where they can make a private phone call.
You reply, "The meeting room is vacant right now."
That's another realistic conversation.
One word describes the number of people.
The other describes whether the room is available.
Here's something interesting.
Go ahead.
Native speakers often use empty with containers and objects.
That's true.
You'll hear sentences like, "The water bottle is empty,"
Or, "The fuel tank is empty."
or "The cookie jar is empty."
Those expressions are very common.
On the other hand, vacant often appears when talking about places or positions.
Such as, "That apartment is vacant."
There's a vacant seat by the window.
The manager's position is still vacant.
Those all sound natural.
Let's imagine another conversation.
You're at the airport waiting for your flight.
The waiting area is crowded.
You look around for somewhere to sit.
Your friend points and says, "There's a vacant seat near the gate."
You walk over and sit down.
While waiting, you finish your bottle of water.
You smile and say, "My bottle is empty now."
That's another perfect example.
Here's another situation.
You're helping a friend move into a new apartment.
Before unpacking, every room looks empty.
Your friend looks around and laughs.
They say, "It doesn't feel like home yet."
A neighbor walks by and starts talking.
They mention that the apartment next door has been vacant for several weeks.
That's another natural use of vacant.
Here's another example.
You're visiting your local library.
You want a quiet place to read.
You ask the librarian, "Is there a vacant study room?"
The librarian smiles and says, "Yes, room 3 is available."
After reading for 2 hours, you finish your coffee.
You look at your cup and say, "It's empty already."
That's exactly how native speakers switch between these two words. Here's something learners sometimes don't notice.
What's that?
Native speakers often use empty to describe what's inside something.
While vacant usually describes who is or isn't using a place.
That's an easy way to remember the difference.
Here's one final situation.
Two friends arrive at a busy movie theater.
One asks, "Can you see any vacant seats?"
The other points towards the back row.
After the movie, they throw away their popcorn containers.
One friend laughs and says, "Both of our popcorn boxes are empty."
That's another conversation you'll hear naturally.
The more you connect empty with things that contain nothing,
And vacant with places or positions that are available.
the easier these two words become in everyday English.
Let's look at a few situations where native speakers naturally choose between empty and vacant without stopping to think about grammar. These are the kinds of conversations you'll hear almost every day.
That's one of the best ways to learn because once you recognize the pattern, choosing the correct word becomes much easier.
Imagine you're arriving at a shopping mall on a busy Saturday.
The parking lot is almost full.
You drive around for a few minutes.
Then your friend says, "I see a vacant parking space near the entrance."
That's a very natural sentence.
The parking space isn't being used.
A little later, you finish shopping.
You stop to buy a bottle of water.
After drinking it, you look at the bottle.
You say, "It's empty already."
That's another natural conversation.
Here's another situation.
You're working in an office.
A new employee is joining the company next week.
Your manager says, "We're getting the vacant office ready."
That's a common expression.
The office isn't occupied yet.
Later, you're organizing supplies.
You open a cabinet.
You say, "This shelf is empty. We need more paper."
That's exactly how native speakers speak.
Here's another example.
You're visiting a bookstore.
You want to sit down and read for a few minutes.
You look around.
Your friend says, "There's a vacant chair by the window."
You sit there and start reading.
After finishing your coffee, you throw away the cup.
Your friend smiles and says, "Your cup is empty."
That's another natural exchange.
Here's something learners sometimes don't notice.
Go ahead.
Native speakers often use empty for places when they're talking about the number of people inside.
That's true.
For example, the restaurant is empty this afternoon.
Or the streets were empty early this morning.
Or the classroom was empty after school.
Those all sound completely natural.
But if you're talking about a place being available for someone to use, vacant is usually the better choice.
Such as, "Is the seat vacant?"
Do you have any vacant apartments?
"There's a vacant desk in the corner."
Those are very common expressions.
Let's imagine another conversation.
You're checking into a hotel.
The receptionist says, "We only have one vacant room left."
You accept the room and go upstairs.
When you open the refrigerator, you laugh.
Your travel companion asks why.
You reply, "It's completely empty."
That's another realistic conversation.
One word describes the table.
The other describes the cup.
Here's another situation.
You're visiting a university campus.
A student guide is showing you around.
You ask, "Is there anywhere quiet where I can study?"
The guide replies, "There's a vacant study room on the second floor."
After spending an hour there, you pack your bag.
Before leaving, you notice your water bottle is empty.
That's another natural use of empty.
Here's another example.
You're helping organize a community event.
People begin arriving one by one.
At first, someone says, "The hall still looks empty."
30 minutes later, almost every chair is taken.
One volunteer notices a single chair near the stage.
They say, "That seat is still vacant if anyone needs it."
That's another conversation you'll hear naturally.
Here's a useful learning tip.
I think this one makes remembering much easier.
If you're thinking about what's inside something, empty is usually the right word.
If you're thinking about whether someone is using a place or position, vacant is usually the natural choice.
That simple question will help you choose the correct word much more confidently.
And after enough listening practice, you won't need to think about grammar rules anymore.
You'll naturally choose empty for things with nothing inside, and vacant for places or positions that are available.
Let's bring everything together with a few longer conversations. These examples sound very close to the way native speakers actually speak, and you'll notice that empty and vacant appear naturally depending on what the speaker wants to describe.
That's one of the best ways to learn, because you're hearing these words in real situations instead of trying to memorize a rule.
Imagine two friends are meeting at a busy cafe.
One friend arrives first and starts looking around.
They send a message saying, "I found a vacant table near the window."
A few minutes later, the other friend arrives and sits down.
After chatting for an hour, they finish their drinks.
One friend picks up the cup and says, "Mine is completely empty."
That's a conversation you'll hear naturally.
One word describes the table.
The other describes the cup.
Here's another situation.
A family is getting ready for a weekend trip.
One parent opens the suitcase.
They say, "This suitcase is still empty."
His son asks where he can sleep because relatives are visiting.
His mother replies, "The guest room is vacant tonight."
That's another realistic conversation.
The suitcase has nothing inside it.
The guest room isn't being used.
Here's another example.
Two coworkers arrive at the office early.
One coworker looks around and says, "The office feels so empty this morning."
There aren't many people there yet.
A few minutes later, another coworker asks where the new employee will sit.
Someone replies, "There's a vacant desk beside the window."
That's another natural exchange.
Here's something interesting.
Go ahead.
Native speakers often use empty to describe places when they want to emphasize that very few or no people are there.
That's true.
Someone might say, "The beach was empty because it was raining."
Or the streets were empty early on Sunday morning.
Or the restaurant was empty after lunch.
Those are very common expressions.
But when the idea is that someone can use the place, vacant usually sounds more natural.
For example, is this seat vacant? Do you have any vacant offices?
There's a vacant apartment upstairs.
Those all sound natural. Let's imagine another conversation. You're checking into a hotel with your family.
The receptionist says, "We only have one vacant room left."
After entering the room, your younger brother opens the small refrigerator.
He laughs and says, "It's empty."
That's another conversation you'll hear while traveling.
Here's another everyday situation.
You're visiting the public library.
You want a quiet place to read.
The librarian says, "There's a vacant study room on the second floor."
You spend an hour reading there.
Before leaving, you look into your backpack and notice your snack box is empty.
That's another natural use of empty.
Here's another example.
Two friends are walking through a shopping center.
One friend says, "This place feels empty today."
The other replies, "Maybe everyone is at the football game."
They continue walking until they reach the food court.
One friend points to a chair and says, "That seat is vacant if you want to sit."
That's another realistic conversation. Here's one final situation.
A teacher walks into the classroom before the students arrive.
Another teacher asks, "Why are you here so early?"
The first teacher smiles and says, "I like preparing my lessons while the classroom is empty."
A little later, a student asks where they should sit.
The teacher replies, "There is a vacant seat in the front row."
Those two sentences show the difference perfectly.
Once you begin thinking about nothing inside or no people present versus available because nobody is using it, choosing between empty and vacant becomes much easier.
And after enough real conversations, you'll naturally choose the word that fits the situation without stopping to think about grammar.
We've reached the final part of today's conversation, so let's review everything with one simple idea. If you remember this idea, you'll know when to use empty and when to use vacant in everyday English.
That's a great goal because these two words appear in conversations every day. You'll hear them while shopping, traveling, working, and talking about everyday situations.
Let's start with the first question you should ask yourself.
Are you talking about something that has nothing inside it?
If the answer is yes, Empty is usually the correct word.
Think about a bottle,
A glass,
a box,
a wallet.
a refrigerator.
Those are all things that can be empty.
Now ask yourself another question.
Are you talking about a place or position that isn't being used?
If that's your focus, vacant is usually the better choice.
Let's practice with a few final situations.
Imagine you're arriving at a movie theater.
The employee checks the seating chart.
There are still a few vacant seats in the back row.
You choose one and enjoy the movie.
After the movie, you finish your drink.
You look at your cup and say, "It's empty now."
That's a conversation you'll hear very often.
Here's another example.
You're moving into a new apartment.
On your first day, every room looks empty because your furniture hasn't arrived yet.
A neighbor comes over to introduce themselves.
They tell you the apartment across the hall has been vacant for several months.
That's another natural conversation.
One sentence describes what's inside your apartment.
The other describes whether another apartment is occupied.
Let's imagine another situation.
You're eating lunch at work.
You finish the last bite of your meal.
A coworker smiles and says, "Your lunchbox is empty already."
After lunch, everyone heads back to work.
One coworker asks where they can take a private call.
Another replies, "The meeting room is vacant right now."
That's exactly how native speakers speak.
Here's another everyday example.
You're traveling by train.
The train is crowded.
A passenger gets off at the next station.
Your friend says, "That seat is vacant now."
During the journey, you finish your bottle of water.
You place the empty bottle into the recycling bin.
That's another simple conversation where both words appear naturally.
Here's something that helps many learners remember the difference.
I think this memory trick is easy to remember.
Imagine you're holding a bottle.
If there's nothing inside it, it's empty.
Now imagine you're looking at a chair.
If nobody is sitting there, it's vacant.
One word talks about contents.
The other talks about occupancy.
That simple picture makes the difference much easier to remember.
Don't worry if you sometimes hear empty used for places like streets, classrooms, or parks. Native speakers often use empty when they simply mean there are very few or no people there.
But when the idea is that someone can use the place, vacant is usually the more natural choice. That's why you'll often hear about vacant seats, vacant hotel rooms, vacant offices, and vacant job positions.
The more you listen to real conversations, the more naturally you'll begin making that choice yourself.
Thanks for spending your time with us today. We hope this conversation has made the difference between empty and vacant much clearer.
Keep practicing with our English podcast for learning, real-life English conversation, English shadowing practice, and English vocabulary and expressions. Learn more, speak better. We'll see you in the next conversation.